Alright everyone, Julian back with BradyRepairs, and today we have something not even remotely electronic. So I bought this tripod here to replace the one my camera's on right now, just so I could hopefully get a better angle. But I noticed when I was looking at it that over here we've got spots like this where the the plastic shell is broken right here. And I don't know if it'll show up very well on camera. Yeah, there we go. There's these cracks in the plastic here. And now granted, I bought this thing for I think $20 or $30 used online. I wasn't expecting it to be in perfect condition, but I saw these and was like, ooh, these are definitely going to be a problem, if not now, fairly soon in the future probably, just from constantly putting this thing up, because I can't just have my tripod on my desk all day. It kind of gets in the way for regular business and everything. So I looked into how I can fix that, and I could have just casted some epoxy on here. But instead, I went to the local Harbor Freight. I don't normally recommend them for a lot of stuff, but sometimes they're the only place you can find things, especially in a small town like I'm in. And I found this plastic welding kit. It's basically just a soldering iron with a wood burning tip on it, but it came with all these little pieces like this to melt into the plastic to, work as like the equivalent of like a brazing rod. And it came with this metal screen here that you can use to reinforce instead of having to use like chopped off resistor legs. So I figured, I think I paid $15 plus whatever 20% off from a super coupon is. Figure, what the hell? Worth a shot. Worst case scenario, it's exactly as worn out and broken as it is already. And mind you, the tripod does work. I've used it for filming some other videos that are coming up. I just thought this would be a fun little something to work on. So let's give this a shot. I have the iron over here warmed up. Let's see, what's a good one to start with? Let's zoom you in first so you can see these cracks in here. Yeah, you can really see that one better now. So let's see. Yeah, let's try this one first. I don't really know how to go about this. It's kind of hard to position a tripod, or hold a tripod, but we'll hold a tripod and film from another tripod. So here's the iron. It's actually pretty big. I was surprised by that, but let's just give this a go and see what happens. Okay, so it is hot enough to melt that. So yeah, it just melts it back together. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of score this spot a little bit, and then try putting in some of this. Whew, that stinks to high heaven. Let me, get the stand for this iron over here. I need to cut this a little shorter, and for cutting this I'm using a pair of just regular, like electrician wire cutters, because my little Exolite ones are probably too small for this. They'd probably get worn out pretty quick from this type of chopping. Alright, now, I have never done this before. I will be straight up with you about it. I've only ever seen this done online on channels that do like auto body repair, fixing bumpers and fuel tanks. And I've thought about getting one of these to fix my wife's Subaru. Has a problem with the windshield wiper fluid reservoir where it likes to leak. So I've thought about getting one of these for that, which I guess I have one now, so if I ever want to fight that thing out and fix that. Yeah, let's try adding some of this brazing rod. I don't know why I had to do air quotes there, like it's 2007 on the internet again, but whatever. I've thought about it because I see online where some of the older kits, oh yeah, that's working pretty good actually. Some of the older kits of this used to come with little like different color rods, like a green and a white and that kind of thing. I thought about it. I can just buy samples of 3D printer filament probably for really cheap online. You can get those samples, and it would probably work just as good, or better potentially, depending on the material, since I can buy nylons and stuff of that. I don't know what these brazing rod things are made out of. I don't know if any of this is in shot, like in the shot, because I'm not even looking through the viewfinder because I cannot see through it very well. Yeah, let's just clean this little spot out. That's too much, so we'll trim that down to size. I would assume if you ever run out of this mesh screen stuff, you could probably just go to the hardware store and buy some literal screen door mesh. That would probably work. I can't imagine it's any different than this. You could also just use resistor legs, like I mentioned before, for... Oop, we should probably actually... Yeah, let's extend that so I'm not accidentally welding two pieces together. That wouldn't be any good, would it? So just tappy tap this stuff in here. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but I have read that when you put this reinforcing stuff in, it supposedly makes it stronger than before. I cannot vouch for that. I can let you know in an update or something, but I would hope so, since these plastic joints on these tripods never should be plastic in my opinion anyway, because they're always, every tripod I've ever owned, or my relatives have and siblings have owned, has always broken in the same way. It's always the pieces of plastic here break. Alright, that looks... Yeah, it still opens and closes alright. That looks pretty okay, actually. But these things always break in these exact same spots, and it kills me because, I mean, granted, this is not like a top dollar tripod by any means, but this thing wasn't cheap. I mean, yeah, let's readjust the tip of the tripod to... Like, I didn't pay a fortune for this, but I didn't... Obviously I bought it used, so I really didn't pay a fortune for it, but... I can't imagine buying something like this when it's new. I'm sure this was over $100 or something, or pretty close to it. I can't imagine spending that much money on something and having it break this kind of way. Like, it shouldn't. But what do I know? I'm just some crazy guy on YouTube who's fixing their cheapo tripod for... Okay, well that disintegrated, but I don't need very many of these. I just need a couple to stick in there. Ooh, yeah, this is about as pretty as my actual welding with an actual welding machine. Oh well, it's in there. That's all I care about. I'm not trying to win any beauty awards. I am just trying to... I'm just trying to fix my tripod. Alright. I'm gonna save the best one. Save the best one for last here. I'm gonna try getting that one that's missing the entire piece. See if I can't basically use this here to remanufacture that piece, if you will. Now, if you've been to my website before, you'll know I actually do have a 3D printer, and I'm working on services of getting that set up on the website for those services for console parts. But I thought about trying to maybe see if I could 3D print something for this, and then I stumbled upon... I came up with the idea of trying this plastic weld stuff instead. Okay, now how am I going to do this? I want you to be able to see it, but the lighting is really not great. Yeah, let's try that. And try to smear it in there, I guess. Oh yeah, I should definitely, like the last one, move that out so I'm not accidentally, like, so I'm not accidentally fusing two of these together. Now, it definitely says you should do this in a well-ventilated area with a fan. I don't have a fan blowing for video reasons, but this stuff does stink to high heaven. I know smell isn't an indication of it being bad for you or any... Oh, smell usually is an indication of things being bad for you. It's not a guarantee, but it's definitely a hint. So I would definitely recommend doing this in somewhere a little more ventilated than I am. Do as I say, not as I do. How about that? Let's glob that crap all up on there. I mean, this is interesting. Definitely different than what I usually do. I mean, I would usually never even think of doing something like this for a console because, one, most of those are made out of ABS, and that stuff is like a burning tire factory when it's melting. I think this is like some sort of nylon, maybe. It doesn't smell like ABS. For all you plastic enthusiasts out there, can't really speak very well today, I guess. Ooh. That's probably good enough. Any more cracks I need to take care of? Let's touch that up a little bit. Get that off of there. Alright. That looks like it's it. I don't know how much I actually got on camera, but I believe once I let that dry some, I might off camera hit it with some sandpaper to make it look a little nicer, but then again, it's a tripod. Who's ever going to see it except me? I don't know if these will last. I don't know how long they will, because like this bottom one here, it still opens, it extends, and I can clamp it, and it won't go anywhere. So I guess it worked. That didn't really take. Maybe if I try tacking it down while it's open. I just need a small layer over top of that metal rod just so I'm not like... Just so I'm not having the potential of that rod slipping out of place. And I mean, I could just cast some epoxy, not cast, I could just put some epoxy over it. And then we'll just, yeah, you can't really see that very well, but take my word for it, I'm just smearing plastic around with a hot iron. I'm sure if you wanted, you could, like I said, just get a wood burner or something and use that instead of this tool if you already have one of those. I don't actually have one of those, so that's why I bought this. There's the problem. Yeah, that's really hot. Don't do that with your finger. Do not do that with your finger. I don't know what I expected there, actually. Okay, so this isn't perfect, and this brazing rod stuff has a little bit of trouble sticking to itself sometimes. But overall, I think that it is totally better than what it was before. I'm gonna let that dry it cool off. Mainly, I think these are better. A little bit of a piece of metal sticking up there. I can, you know, just gonna come in and trim that off, but yeah, it might be worse. Whatever. I think it worked. This area here has room for improvement. I definitely need to see if it'll close. Okay, so the leg doesn't really close all the way, but I'm never going to use it when it's all the way up against itself like this. Okay, so zoom back out. I am going to call this a success. So if you have a tripod or any other plastic item that's broken, and you do not have a wood burning kit, check out Harbor Freight. This exact same kit's sold on Amazon under a bunch of different names, but check out Harbor Freight or Amazon, either one. It might just save your butt on something like this. So thanks for watching, and next time we'll be back with more electronics.